Hi, Sean.
Hello.
How are you?
Pretty good. How you?
Not too bad. What progress have you made? Did you speak to your art director there?
I've got a message in for her. She's been kind of in and out this past week, but yeah, I should be able to get a hold of her soon. But once she gets back, if she's over there, I should find out and
Mm-hmm.
be able to have her look at the models, as to see if she can break apart that avatar, which I think she can. She can
Mm-hmm.
probably look at it and go, "Oh yeah, do this be done." So it shouldn't be a problem.
Great.
But I've also I've parceled out the all the buildings that are going to need wind light settings in the beach, and I've put the lights in some of the buildings. I didn't know if you wanted like some in the studio yet. I better put them in the cafe. I mean, the gift shop and the lounge,
Mm-hmm.
and in the
Great.
church. And I didn't put them in the indoor lighting because I think you want to control that lighting directly
Yeah.
with the lights. Um, but yeah, I've parceled everything out, and I'm looking to put in the wind light settings here. But I also want to probably talk with you today about the wind light settings, what you want in each building. I mean, I think that we understand the buildings are pretty easy. You want it basically midnight when they're inside the buildings. But the beach, you said you wanted at sunset. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Did you want any special atmospherics for that? There are a bunch of presets that you can go through. Uh, some of them are a little weird.
Well,
It's
I may need to see what they do and perhaps be able
yeah.
to make a decision, one by one. Or
If you go to, let's see, region that's local.
should we go into that parcel?
Um, well, right now the way the parcel when light works is I have to set something in the parcel description, which is magic values, tell when light or tell Firestorm to change it. But what you need to do right now is to what I really need right now is you can set it for the whole sim so you can actually see it what it does, because
Okay.
until you know what it looks like,
Sure.
it won't matter where you're at because you're painting it for the whole sim. Um, let's see, if you go into world region or region details
Right.
and under environment, I think is what it is. There's a couple of radio buttons. You use Second Life default or use the following setting,
Right.
and then
So,
under you
which?
select use the following settings,
Okay.
which I've done. If you look at the sky right now, and the water looks really freaking. Well, I don't know if it'll change immediately. I haven't applied it, but you can just go in there and like one of Bricadermia, which is a purple sky and bright turquoise water. But there's a whole bunch in that drop down, which are
Oh,
uh,
okay.
basically different settings. As you select them, you can see things change. See the sky and the water change that a little bit and lower the camera. So if you want to pick one of those, that's fine. There's also in the day-night cycle that affects the sun and the skies and beyond the horizon colors and how much clouds there are. In other words, what you're doing right now is you're not really changing. You're not intending to change it. You're just kind of seeing what it would look like by picking the various settings. So the idea here is not to hit apply at
Oh,
all.
oh, okay.
Um, the idea is so you can see what settings you like, and then when you see them, you say, "Okay, I like those." Write those down for what parcel you want them on,
Oh,
and
I
if you
see.
want it for the whole region, you can go ahead and hit apply. It won't matter, but I mean, it's just saying the idea here for the parcels is to get a feel for what you'd like to have as presets for it, and then tell me, make a list essentially of, you know, each parcel. I want water setting X and day cycle blah, And for the camera support corral, I want water setting X and day cycle blah. And for the amphitheater, I want water cycle or water setting. That way, when you give me that information, I can then put those settings in the parcel description with the proper coding, so that the so that Firestorm will change the wind light setting.
Okay. So I'll go to
essentially
each.
Firestorm.
I'll go to each parcel and go into this
Yep.
world menu environment and play around and take a look and just write down what I feel with never ever hitting apply.
Right.
Okay.
And if you get to a point where you're like, you do all the parcels and you say, I want to set the entire island default for everything outside of the parcel, then you can go ahead and hit apply on that one. That'll apply for the whole thing.
Well, that for sure, I get a sense that it should be just default or rotating.
Okay.
In other words, I remember being in I think it was Vegas, particularly. I was in Las Vegas, and first time I was at Caesars. I don't know if you've been at Caesars in Las Vegas, but they have, where you're walking down through what seems to be like cobblestone streets in, Europe, and they have stores and all, and the lighting and curved ceilings with clouds painted on the ceilings, and the lighting changes from, like morning to bright daylight to eventually evening, and it cycles, I think, every 4 hours. So you might go, it might be like bright daylight. You go into a store, and when you come out, it's nighttime, and so on, and vice versa. And it was quite interesting as a secondary kind of sensory effect, and so for the general areas here, I'd like it to be that rotating, through the cycle of day and night, happening in the main parcel. Certainly the boulevard, because somebody exits, say, indoor lighting, and they come out, they went in when it was morning, they may come out when it's nighttime.
Right.
And that will add I think, another level of involvement, albeit a very subliminal, minimal one. So.
Yeah. They'll occasionally notice the difference and be like, hey, it's dark out.
Yeah.
Or it'll be bright out, whatever. But that's exactly what you're going to have.
Do you have any suggestions on the amphitheater? Like, once one enters there, what do you think is the best setting? I haven't played around with it.
The fact that it's pretty much a glass-covered geodesic dome.
It would look weird if it's daylight outside, and for some reason, certainly I'm sure nighttime outside would brighten the screen as much as possible. Because I wonder whether this environment adds a little daylight glare to the screen. But other than that, it would be odd to be daylight out on the plaza, and as you walk into the amphitheater, it all of a sudden gets, goes to nighttime.
Mood lighting.
Yeah, it'd be weird. So
I think it does it as a gradual shift. It's not immediately just light dark or dark light. It's basically when light setting, partial when light kicks in, it kind of transitions into whatever setting you have. But still, that's it's still going to be kind of strange. People are going to look at it like, what?
Right. Whereas if they go into indoor lighting, or they're going through the woods, and all of a sudden it starts to change for them when they go toward the beach. I think there's a transitional area where it can go a little more gradual. But being in the plaza here and then walking over into the um, amphitheater, I don't think it should change. And in fact, in any kind of lighting, the screen there is not that bad. So that I have found.
Well, the screen itself, when you're actually watching a video, will be full bright, so they'll be able to see the
Yeah,
video
in any
full.
kind of lighting. So
Yep.
even though the open area over here by the boulevard and the information desk uh, kiosk and the amphitheater, even though these are two different parcels, can can they be set at the same daylight setting? Um, but because they're two parcels, they can have different other type of different characteristics. Is that the way I understand it?
Well, I mean, they'll have
In other words,
whatever
you needed
the
the amphitheater to be a separate um, parcel for a variety of reasons. In order to
it
deliver
wasn't just
deliver messages and so on and so forth. So, but
right.
whatever the lighting settings that are here out in the boulevard should be the same lighting settings applied to the parcel that has the amphitheater, so that they don't change, and that as the day
Yeah,
progresses, if it's nighttime, if it happens to be through the cycle of night, um, and someone arrives at night, they could walk over in a nighttime setting, and when they go into the amphitheater, it's still feeling like night around them. That is probably, I never thought of it that way, but it makes sense for the amphitheater to be linked with the time of day light settings.
right.
All right.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean,
All right.
you can leave it pretty much the same way. Doesn't have to be. In fact, if I don't put anything in the amphitheater parcel settings, then it won't change. It'll be whatever's outside the main theme.
Okay. Good. All right. All right. So I'll do that.
Okay, and then I'm putting the legend on the map, but I've got an idea for the map because I'm going to make it a little easier if you want to do it. Um, there's I want to put the legend on a separate prim on the left side, and it's going to have it where it selects using the base underneath. But the other thing is that the you have it to where you have the whole map image, and you have the "You Are Here" little dot on there. I was thinking what I can do is actually change that to where it's actually on a texture above that. So it's easier to have one image for the map, and then there's one image for the "You Are Here." As I say, just save the image without the dot, and I'm going to make a version, or you can make a version of yourself with the dot on a totally clear image. And then what I do is I just move the texture, and the dot moves wherever you want it to be. So it's just a way to reduce the amount of textures in the scene, because it helps texture memory basically. The more textures you have, each one of those, if you do each map, it will basically add another texture that's in texture memory every time you put another
Oh, I
texture out.
see.
This way, you
So
only have two textures.
have one
Yeah,
image.
so you have one texture for the map, and one texture is the dot on a big field. It's the same size and the same
Oh, I see.
ratio.
Yeah.
So, for
So it's not
example,
a different image. It's really the same image with one little tiny
yeah, it's just
addition.
that you got two layers. You got two layers.
I
One's with the
understand.
dot, and one's the map. So,
All right. Well, let me send you that right away. I mean, I could probably
okay.
make it.
Yeah, it's no rush. I could do the dot too. But I didn't want to do the map. So you already had that.
Yeah. Let me
So.
just. Sean, hi.
Hey,
Beach area,
okay.
the
Wait.
water setting glassy, and the fixed sky at a dash 6 p.m.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to just put it in a note card, that'd be
Yeah.
something you have a copy of it in the
All
world.
right. You still working on that? Anything for me to
Yeah, it's going to be a little
review?
bit.
All right.
I'm basically putting the script in to move the legend around and to do the selections.
All right. Let me check
Needed.
the other settings. I'll be right back.
See the percentage above the rim?
Oh yeah.
First, see it changed right there, like 90%.
Yeah.
And when it'll get to 100 and it'll bounce back down to, and watch the shadow you're in, about 88%. Goes from like total shadow to some shadow. But it stays that way until it gets to about 5%. And it'll go to no shadow. So those pretty much are your three shadow states that you have. You have some shadow and total shadow and no shadow.
All right. What I'd like to see, if you can let that keep running, I'm going to change the world. No, actually, I'm going to go into, what was it? Region details, environment, and make the sky, the fixed sky, Anna Lutetia. Anna Lutetia Outdoor 2. It's bright sunlight, but all right, that's going to 25, 20. So you said from about 5% to about 70 or so?
88. 88. It'll get completely dark at 88. But as you can see, that whole range is one shading.
Yeah.
So, clean. Unfortunate. It'd be nice if we do that. That's shadows. I wonder if there's some shadow settings.
Yeah,
Like shit.
88 is, wow, somewhere between, well, how about if we double two up? Put two next to each
I
other.
what happens in that case, it's not have to do, but what'll happen is it'll go, depending on the total alpha that it goes through, it'll probably go to full shading. There won't be any intermediates.
And it doesn't matter
Let's
what
get
color you
down.
make it.
No. Shadows are not
Affected by color.
I mean, so I'm kind of surprised they're affected at all by opacity. Just surprised there is a step there. It's basically opposed to shadow or no shadow.
So I'm looking at sort of a pretty close-up shot of my face, and I'm standing in the shadow.
I'd have to go in there and change it.
You change it yourself, yeah, for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, maybe you want to do that, because
Yeah.
we'll be talking about the same. I'm just positioning myself so that yeah. So
Big sky. Not. Oh. Here's right.
yeah.
That's like massively saturated.
Right, but it
Yeah.
really looks the most like you know, sunlight. Typical
Yeah.
nice bright sunny day. It's way more
Yeah.
than the 12 p.m. setting, which is you know, kind of a little lame. And if you see the way I'm standing right now, do you see me standing and I'm facing the you know, the building? The shadow that's being created by by the sun. I mean, the what it's lighting, the back of my head, the back of my shoulders, uh, even though it's cut down a little bit with the scrim, this is half the lighting outdoors is this. Uh, the
Yeah.
the backlight, the actual sun, is causing to light the edges, the back edges of the subject. So now, when will we have the reflector ready to see what it does to the front of my face?
Oh, it's ready now.
Hmm?
Drag it over there and use it. I mean, it works.
Yeah, let's see.
Whoa.
Let's see what it looks like. This lighting is harsh, but is really. I mean, I'm looking at I mean, the sky has got the clouds. It's such a nice, like bright sunny day type of a feel.
Trying to decide if it's fixed lighting, then I have to fix the reflector. Outdoor lighting, fixed day. So you're actually going to have that. The outdoor lighting is going to be fixed here.
Yeah.
It
yeah.
won't. It'll always be sunny. Okay. In that case,
it'll be
what
a
I'll
little weird if it's nighttime, you know, on the boulevard, because it's sort of default kind of changing through the day range, and as you
Right.
come into the corral, it's just going to get bright. Yes, but
Right,
that's
so
what
what
it
I'm
is.
gonna
It's
end
an
up
area
doing-
to. That'll be a cool factor too, because let's say it's nighttime outside, and you go into the outdoor lighting corral. I mean, now it's going to provide you with bright sunlight of a day just in that area, so that you could play around with reflectors. You know, and scrims. Two different kinds of scrims, and a reflector that's available to you, and you can manipulate it. We're going to want people to be able to also at least turn a mannequin. You know, the mannequin is standing, maybe where to stand and which way to face. Someone should be a little free to be able to say where a mannequin should stand and to be able to rotate it so that one affects at least the 2-point lighting, effectively uses the sun. Even though I have a hunch that the sun is going to be coming in from the same direction all the time. So, I mean,
Right, well, I'll fix the reflector.
Worst comes to worst, we'll place. If the sun never moves, then we'll place the mannequin in the right spot. So that just somewhere.
Sure. The reason I ask is because the reflector tracks the sim sun, and the partial wind light won't affect the sim sun. So it'll only be the region sun that is. So what I did is essentially I set the inside the reflector for the calculation. Notice the reflector has a little red arrow pointing up. It's got 3 arrows, got a red and a blue and a white.
Oh yeah.
And the blue one is the direction that the light should be projecting. The red is where the sun is, and the white is the normal, basically to the mirror, to the reflector. So essentially, the white is always exactly in between the red and the blue. Red points at the sun. So what I did is I told it the sun is always overhead. It's not exactly, according to the shadow on the ground, but that's as far as this is concerned. This is good enough as a reflector projection. And right now you're being projected on. So if you go back to the Analudia outdoor setting and see what effect it has, you can rotate the reflector however you like and see if it has any effect. And note that also the way that the reflector works is it's actually a projector. It's actually projecting light using a texture. So we can adjust the texture so that it's more like a spotlight, or we can make it more soft, depending on in other words, whether you want it to be almost like a mirror or if you want it just to be a very, very, very soft reflection.
Well, can we bring it here and see if it'll reflect back into and light up my face?
Which side do you want it on?
I'm facing me right now as a sort of a camera perspective.
Well, you're facing the wall of the indoor building.
Right. I'm facing the wall.
So you want it to where it's...
Yeah, so it should be brought to my right and a little bit closer to the wall. And then turned sort of facing toward the amphitheater. Ah. Wow.
Did you see it change?
Yeah. I'm taking a picture of it. Yeah. And now...
I mean, it's not exactly on you. See the shadow effect. Oh, that's nifty.
Oh yeah. Now it.
Yeah, it's less shadow, but you can still see it.
Yeah.
As I turn
it. Is it? Can you sort of move it out of the way and then bring it back to this point? Just. Yeah. Okay. Wow. And then.
Yeah, I was actually.
Wow.
You can't see it while I'm moving it. Yeah. In fact, you can see your shadow from it too. On the ground.
That's great.
How it rotates around you as you move. It's not supposed to do it. That's not 100% physically accurate, but who cares? It looks good.
Yeah. No. Right.
Because your shadow shouldn't move just because the reflector moves.
Well, I wasn't looking. I was sort of zoomed in, looking at myself from the waist up, so I didn't see my feet. But that's great.
Yeah. I mean, it looks fine for virtual worlds, but it's obviously not physically correct as far as that goes. Because
once the visitor has a way of sort of angling it,
Hmm.
I don't know how the HUD will be set up, but yeah, this is working. This
It'll
is
be sort of like the way the camera HUD used to be in the old one. There'll be like direction arrows, and it'll let them, change
yeah,
the rotation, the azimuth elevation, and then move it forward, back, left, right, up, down.
that's
Basically,
great.
so
That's
that's
absolutely great.
has to be done.
Nice.
So it works. Like I say, the only issue I wanted to bring up was the scrim. You see, is it dark now?
But that's very nice.
There,
Nicely done.
that's the texture. That's the texture right there.
Oh, what's that
That big
white wall?
white prim on the wall.
Right.
Yeah, that on that white wall, you can see how that's the light texture itself on the projector.
Oh,
That's what it looks like.
yeah. Obviously, it's got a hot spot in the
Yeah,
middle, and if sort of tapers off, it's got a little bit of a, but
it's actually a particle texture I use. It's
right.
a cloud particle.
No, but yeah, that's fine. I don't think when it reflects back on the face, I don't think we get any kind of
No,
indication of that slight modeling.
no, it's on multi on non-uniform, like you saw it on the wood. It's hard to see if you have
Right.
anything that's not a uniform texture. If I get real close, you can see it
Right.
sort of show up. But the farther you get away, it's just a blob.
Sure.
So it's
Sure.
just
There you go.
perfect. That's
Great.
why I picked that texture. Like, that's probably not too bad. I just wasn't sure if the modeling issue might be an issue because the reflector is round, and
Well,
the I mean, it's a reflector has essentially what amounts to a Gaussian blur function. Essentially, it blurs. It's not a perfect mirror. It's just reflecting light, and it's sort of soft reflection, not a hard edge reflection. So I figured something along those lines would be if you're reflecting in an environment has both dark and light spots because there's the stuff reflecting off of trees, off of the building, off of a person, or whatever's clouds in the sky, whatever you want to say. There's always some amount of dark splotches essentially in the light that's coming to it when you're reflecting. So I figured that probably was going to be a fairly accurate representation of an average
can you
reflection.
make that a little blurrier?
Sure. Yeah, I can make it. I can. I can't do it on here, but it's a texture. I'd have to put it in the GIMP and change it and re-upload it.
Because if
Yeah,
it was just a little bit blurrier, I think it'd be perfect. I mean, there's a couple of darker spots, and depending on how fine tuning the visitor's HUD is going to be, if you could incrementally, a variable type of a turn, then perhaps darker spots might show up on the face. You might, but if
that's the texture.
yeah, that's fine.
That's the actual texture. I mean, it's a transparent texture, so
Right.
it actually can be a lot brighter because it can be less transparent.
No, I think the effect you
bit.
showed me before is just fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. I mean, that's the actual. Regardless of the lighting, that's the actual texture of that thing displayed.
Very, very good. Excellent.
Yeah, clean it up a little bit.
It's gonna work. Yeah. So when people enter this corral, the lighting is going to change to that bright midday sunlight.
Yes.
Great. Great.
Yep. In fact, there is one small issue here that I wanted to also point out in here. The parceling, if you right click on the ground at your feet
Yeah.
and go to about land. See the yellow border appear? Where it shows the parcel border.
Yeah, I have to move a little bit out of the way. Okay, yeah. That's the parcel border?
Notice, yeah, you notice it doesn't go to the wall, and there's a reason that because that wall actually is like in the middle of a 2 meter or a 4 meter section. So it was either I was going to have it 2 meters inside the building or 2 meters outside the building where the parcel boundaries between the two of them. Outside of that, it's perfect, pretty much around the parcel. It's not exact, but
So
I was going
explain
to find
again
out
what
if
can the building
Par-
should can we move the building a little bit? Will that work?
I was going to suggest that yeah, maybe you might move these two fence sections and then just widen the building or make it a little bit bigger that fills in that space. But it also, it's obviously going to shrink the size of this parcel here too. So I didn't know if you wanted to make the building smaller or if you want to make the building bigger. Because if you make the building smaller, then the corral gets bigger. If you make the building larger, the corral gets smaller. As far as the look, the parcel won't change. Obviously, that's the whole point.
The parcel is where it is. So
Yes, the parcel parcels are always 4 meter resolution. So it's either there, the boundary on that side is either there, or it's 2 meters inside the building. So that's the next strip, essentially a 4 meter strip that's available.
well, did I move the railing just about where the parcel
Yep.
is? I don't see the lines anymore.
Yeah, you just if you right click on it here. Yeah.
About land. Okay. Uh-huh.
I think if you leave the about land window open, the yellow lines will stay even though you're selecting other stuff. Although no. Oh, I see what it is. It's showing it's showing the overall parcel chain. Yeah.
All right. So and that front panel. And then this front panel. There we go.
Yeah, I can clean it up a little later. I just wanted to have you make that decision whether you wanted to change the size.
Sure,
stuff,
sure.
So.
And these railings don't line up either. So I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to,
it's just a matter of adjusting them.
I'm gonna adjust them a little.
Yeah, it's one of the things you learn when you're building sims is try to put, if you're going to be parceling things anyway, make sure that your builds are aligned on 4 meter boundaries. Otherwise you end up changing, adjust here, squeeze there. Of course, it really doesn't matter. I mean, well, it does in this case because we're changing a parcel in light, but if it was, just parceling for other people to use, like for example, to change whether or not they can build or something like that, and it's as long as it doesn't allow them to edit things they shouldn't be editing, it's fine. But that's not the case here.
What'd you want to do?
I was just saying I was cleaning up rims and stuff, so your reflector, the one that's just a demo here, if you want to take it or leave it or move it wherever you want, or you can move the other one, the active one.
No,
wherever you
no,
are.
we could get rid of it. Let's see, edit. See ya.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, this other one right here. And now, obviously, when somebody looks at this from outside the parcel, the reflector is going to not be correct in terms of, if they're standing out here where the wind light settings are normal daytime and the sun is on the horizon, it's not going to look right because the reflector is going to think the sun's overhead because inside the parcel it is overhead. So it's a little bit of a disconnect of people looking in. They might looking in from outside, it'll look a little strange, but as soon as they walk in the corral, it'll be correct. So something to keep in mind because of the way the wind light wind light settings work.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if the projector does not respect it being in shadow because it can't know that it's in shadow. So if somebody says, well, if I put a total shading scrim over top of the reflector, it's still reflecting. Well, yeah, it doesn't know that there's shadow there. Working.
Right.
So yeah, it's conceivably possible to script something to detect that, but that's, we're getting a little bit into the, you get to a point, you get 95% realism, that extra 5% gets really expensive.
Yeah, understood. Yep.
So.
That's great. This
All
is
right.
absolutely great.
So